Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I'm Not Confined, but I Probably Should Be. And today I'm here with Friday on the Couch. And I'm going to stick with the program that we've developed so far, I guess, which we kind of do a old movie with a new movie, with an old movie with a new movie, with old movie, new movie. So in the rotation, we're up to what would be a new movie. And though it's not incredibly new, it's still a 2019 movie. And it falls into that category we had last year, which seemed to be pretty heavy last year. We had a lot of remakes with gender flopping. You had What Men Want, you had Little, and you had this movie, which was called The Hustle. Not to be confused with Jennifer Lopez's... Jennifer Lopez? Yes, Jennifer Lopez's Hustlers. This is The Hustle, which is a remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but instead of Steve Martin and Michael Caine, you have Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson. So, with that being the case, I took a look at it, and if you watch it completely cold, if you've never seen Dirty Rotten Scoundrels before, you probably would really, really like it. And I didn't not like it. The plot revolves around these two con artists. One of them is very cultured and refined. That's Anne Hathaway, and the other one is more earthy, I guess is a good way to put it. She's not cultured. She's not refined. She's very much a hustler, really, is what you would call it. She's in it for the short money, the easy money, the quick $50 here, $50 there, and it's got a very passé approach. They both end up in the same turf, which is this French town called Beaumont-sur-Mer, which, by the way, same name as they used in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Very beautiful French Riviera town, filled with lots and lots of rich people. And rich vacationers as well, which is part of the big plus. So, Rebel Wilson's character ends up there, and Anne Hathaway's character has been living there, making a living there for years. And of course, they get into conflict with each other because, two fish in the same pond, or two predators in the same pond, two sharks in the same pond, probably a better way to put it, are going to scare off all the little fish. At first, they try to work together. Anne Hathaway takes Rebel Wilson under her wing and is going to teach her how to become a more cultured, refined, bigger game hunter, essentially. Stop going for the $50 here, the $100 there, and let's go for the 100,000, the 200,000, the million. And they work together for a time. And ends up that Rebel Wilson's character is not patient enough, doesn't have enough refinement in and of herself to stick with it, and quits. And then they got into conflict with each other and have to figure out who's going to stay and who's going to go because they're hurting each other. So they make a bet. They make a wager that they can get $500,000 out of this. One of them, they choose the same mark, and whichever one of them gets $500,000 out of that mark first is the one that gets to stay. The other one has to leave forever. And they choose this young tech billionaire, supposedly, that's kind of geeky and hanging around the hotel that they're at. And the rest of the movie is them trying various different methodology to try and get that to happen, and how to get that. So it's pretty much exactly the same plot. All the major beats from Dirty Rotten Scoundrels are there. So if you're familiar with Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, the either the movie or the musical, there is a Broadway musical of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you haven't seen Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and you're watching it just from Jump, then it's great. I enjoyed it myself, just looking at it through the lens of I've never seen this material before. I found it to be clever and witty and had some good points, and even the stuff that they did that was similar to what they did in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels wasn't so bad.
I couldn't help overhearing your conversation in the dining car. My condolences to your grandmother.
I couldn't help but overhear your conversation in the dining car. My condolences.
Lars!
It's Charlotte Pemberton. It's Pemberton. It's Pemberton.
Lawrence! His name is James Jesselton.
No,
Lawrence
wait,
spelled
it's
Lawrence Chesterton.
Maxfield.
Lawrence Chesterton.
Ah! Charlotte Josephson. Josephine. Yes, that is her.
Could you take this to the guest bedroom and see that everything is neatly pressed?
Take this to the guest room, butlery person.
Are you telling me I'm gonna go home with 2 princesses on my own?
You mean I'm going home with 2 princes?
Dr.
Dr.
Emil
Schaffhausen
Schaffhausen
is
of the
that
Schaffhausen
gifted.
Clinic in Liechtenstein.
Are you sure?
Yes, go!
Are you sure that this is helping Penny?
Trust me, this is
All right, so let's move on to some issues that might be spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, fast forward here. And I'll put down where you need to fast forward to once I get this edited, and it'll be right here. So fast forward to this point, and we're not talking about spoilers anymore. Okay. There's a lot of things that they did in the movie that are very, very similar to Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I mean, you've seen in the clips, word for word, paragraph for paragraph, beat for beat. And then there's things that they didn't do that were not similar to the original. And the divergence is fine in a lot of places. But one of the things that I found very confusing is that in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, the honorable one is the Michael Caine character. He's the one who, at a point, finds out that their Mark is not as rich as they thought that she was. So he says, "Look, we cannot continue with this. We can't take her for any money because she doesn't have any money to take. I don't take money from people who are not already corrupt and morally bankrupt and so on and so forth." And the Steve Martin character says, "Well, fine then. Here's what we do. We'll see who can get her in bed first." The Michael Caine character says, "No, I don't do that. That's not me. I'm not that kind of a person. I won't do that. But I will bet that you can't do it because she's a nice person and she's not going to go to bed with you." And so now we get into this version, and we've established through the entirety of the beginning of the movie that the Rebel Wilson character is very, 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 very promiscuous. She is willing to sleep with all of her marks and is willing to absolutely, just whatever she can to get whatever money she wants. And you've established that the Anne Hathaway character is not that way, that she is very much against getting what she wants by sex. She thinks of herself as more intelligent than the men and, takes advantage of them because, they can. And somewhere in the middle there, they flip-flop. It twists around somehow, and when they find out that their Mark is not as rich as they thought he was, Anne Hathaway's character, who has not been willing to have sex with everybody and anything, is suggesting that they try and bed him, and whichever one of them can get him in bed first is the one that wins, and actively pursues this goal, which I found a little tasteless and a strange change when they stayed so close to the originally. But I found it strange that they did that. And it also kind of changed the ending, because in the end of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, the Mark, after taking them for all of their money, comes back and says, let's work together. Let's get ourselves, and we can make even more money if we work together. And in the process, makes the Michael Caine character, the more refined one, into her right hand, her accomplice, her partner, but makes the Steve Martin character, who's a little more fumbling and not as refined, into a backup player by telling everybody that he's mute and that he can't talk. And in the version that we have, or noob version, they take the opposite way, and the guy comes back and he has Rebel Wilson as his partner and gives her a voice, but silences the Anne Hathaway character. And it seems strange. It seems strange to make that choice. That and just thinking through it now, I guess you could make the excuse that, you know, she didn't have as much, and her moral compass is not as flawed just because she sleeps with people. I don't know. I just can't find that reasoning. It just seemed to me in the original, it seems like the right person was getting his comeuppance in a way. I mean, it's not really comeuppance because they're all bad people. They all take from other people, but it did seem like there was a comeuppance to be given to the Steve Martin character because he was going after her under false pretenses. And so he was then forced into this subservient role. The other thing that's kind of strange about this, and it's not because the script is wrong, because the script followed the same exact script. It's that it doesn't play as well to have the man get the better of the two women. It played a lot better with Dirty Rotten Scoundrels because you had these two men who have been grifting for years and years and years get taken by this, you know, pretty little girl. And that had a better overarching message, I think, in terms of, you know, yay feminism or whatever. But I think I just don't think it plays as well. And they kind of move beyond that because they do have a little bit longer time in the denouement, in the ending, after all is said and done, where they show them working together as a team throughout the world, which I think is good, and it kind of gives them back a little bit of their power. But the overreach, the ending does seem like they've lost their power to this man, and So from that point, I think we will end where the spoilers are, and go into where my other issues are. And then the girls go into the pool hall, and they completely beat Paul Newman and Jackie Gleason in the pool tournament. It's amazing. And then they take the money and they go off and they ride into the sunset. Totally happy. Oh, did you start the video back up at the wrong point? Did you get a spoiler? Oh no, just kidding. This is where the spoilers are done. So you people who fast forwarded, hi. Okay. Let's talk about funny bits. There were some very funny bits. Not as many funny bits as what I think were in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but still, a lot of really funny bits. They did cover a lot of pratfall stuff, a lot of physical comedy stuff, but I think a lot of the things that they thought were funny didn't play funny to me, and that may be because of what my personal opinions are about Rebel Wilson. And I'm not a big fan of hers. I do find myself enjoying movies she's in, but in spite of her kind of way. I feel like she's always playing that same character, which I don't like in men either. I don't like men behaving badly, getting away with it kind of characters either. And that's kind of the way she is. She behaves badly and tends to get away with it, whether it be in Pitch Perfect, or whether it be in this, or whether it be in Isn't Romantic. It's just she's the same character every time. She is this uncouth, overly aggressive, tends to be woefully unaware of herself, and ill-mannered. And I'm not a big fan. That's just my personal point of view on that particular character. And it's not necessarily her fault as a person. It's just that's the character that they're always casting her as, or that she's always putting herself out there for. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the only character she can get. I hope not. I hope she could do better, but it's just not been presented to me yet. That kind of ruins it for me in this particular movie. They play into it in certain scenes, and it works in those certain scenes. But some people, when they're being uncouth, it can be charming. Other people, not. And she doesn't come off charming. She comes off as crass. That's my personal opinion on that. Maybe it's because she doesn't get her comeuppance in the end. Maybe that's part of it, is that she's not learned a lesson. The lesson that they try and teach you is that her way was the better way. And maybe that rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know, because in the other version with Steve Martin being the uncouth but he's not really ill-mannered. I mean, I'm trying to make sure that I'm trying to make sure that I don't have any kind of internal bias going on between male and female, because I'm just trying to make sure that I'm equating them on the same par, since it's a male and a female playing essentially the same role, but not necessarily the same way. And is that my bias telling me that it's not the same way, or is it there is something different? I think there is something different. I think that if this had been Steve Galifianakis in the original movie, playing the way he normally plays in his roles, I probably wouldn't have liked it. That's why I never liked the Hangover movie. I've never seen Bridesmaids, but probably wouldn't like that for the same reason. Is that there's just no moral resolution. There's no lesson being learned. It's just, we're behaving badly, and look, we got away with it. Aren't you happy we got away with it? Look how much of an ass I can be in the world, and nobody cares, or nobody can stop me. And I don't like that. I don't like that in my movies. I really want there to be, lessons learned. I want there to be consequences paid, or if not lessons learned. And but then again, I'm a traditional hero's journey kind of person, and so I feel like if you're going to be making a story, you want to make sure that you have that arc being told. And if you start off the story the same as when you finish it, then you've done badly for yourself. And there is a little bit of an arc here for her character, but not really. Anne Hathaway played a carbon copy version of Meryl Streep in Devil Wears Prada, the Miranda Priestley character. Her character is very buttoned up, very, very sedate, and not necessarily as cutthroat as that character was in Devil Wears Prada, but definitely has that kind of cut-off, emotionless kind of bent to her personality, very straight-laced. And part of the best parts of the comedy come out of the fact that she's playing such a straight man in this movie that when things go wrong for her, it is extremely funny. If you ever watch Jerry Lewis falling, it's funny, but Dean Martin falling, that's really funny because he's not the crazy off the wall bouncy one. So that's definitely was used to good purpose, and I appreciated it. Supporting cast was good. There's not really many other people in the movie. There's two or three people that have parts more than a couple of minutes. You have a bunch of different, marks that they're conning that show up throughout the movie, but they don't have much of a part. And you have the couple of accomplices that work with them, the police chief and the butler. But really, it's just the three of them, the two girls and the mark. All three of them did a pretty good job. Like I said, I have my issues with Rebel Wilson, but it held together in the context of the movie. I thought it was a fine movie. I thought it was, if you don't compare it to the original, I thought it was great. Even comparing it to the original, I still think it's pretty good. If you like the story, it's definitely something that you would check out and be like, oh, that's kind of cool. I would have loved to have seen them throw the original characters in there somewhere, especially if they're in the same town then they could have made it into a spiritual sequel without actually having to make it about the others. So my thoughts are that I can't rate it too highly because, it's not great, but it's fun. So I give it 1 up, 1 down. What do you guys think?
I didn't really like the movie, but Anne Hathaway, she did a whole bunch of accents, which deserves a thumbs up just for that.
She didn't do Norwegian, though.
No, but she did American and English and French, German, Australian. Heck, she even did sign language.
Yeah, that's true. I like the part where the oyster fell down her cleavage.
Teddy! Don't be a lech.
No, not for that. I thought it was funny. It bent in her bra.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
And then it fell out her dress.
I got it.
So that's 3 out of 6, which is not great, but like I said, if you happen to see this running around on cable or regular TV or wherever, check it out. But do watch the original. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is great. So that's it for today. Friday on the Couch is all done. Oh, one more thing. I want to do something today. It's called Vox Squawks. Now, this is going to be a little bit of an offshoot of what we do on Fridays here. And this is going to be about video games. And Vox Squawks is because Vox is my gamer handle. That's when I play video games, that's the name that I use. And so this month, there is free offerings from PS4. Every month, 2 games are available if you are a PS4 member. And I'm a PS4 member. So the 2 games this month are City Skyscapes and Farming Simulator. Now, I've heard of Farming Simulator for years. You see it pop up here and there. This is like the 10th or 11th iteration of it. And so I said, you know what? It's free. Let me give it a try. I downloaded it. I started playing it. I thought there must be something more to it than that. It can't just be farming, can it? Yeah, it is just farming. They give you a plot of land and some tools, some tractors and seeders and backhoes and excavators, whatever the hell they are. I don't know farming terms, but your goal is to plant and harvest crops and sell them. Now, the time goes faster. It's not like you have to wait 6 months for your crop to grow, but still, that's it? There's no story to it? There's no greater purpose other than just driving around on a tractor and planting seeds and then driving around on an excavator and pulling the seeds up, and I don't. And people pay money for this game. I mean, it's not like it's a freebie all the time. The majority of the time, you got to buy it. I don't get it. I don't get it. The only you do it to make money so that you can buy better equipment, to farm better, to make more money, to buy better equipment, to farm better. I was thinking maybe they have some sort of an algorithm that's programmed into the video game that it sends back all the information back to some sort of robotic, equipment back on some real farm somewhere. So you're actually driving a real tractor. You just don't know it. I don't know. It's so stupid. I don't understand it. I don't. There's no action to it other than just farming. And why is doing somebody's job fun? So that gets 2 thumbs down for me. These guys didn't play it. I'm sure they're glad they didn't. But yeah, super weird. Anyway, that's all the time we have here for episode 10 of I'm Not Confined, but I Probably Should Be. And please remember, like, share, and subscribe, and we shall see you next time. Bye-bye.